the 1980s in Kumasi, Ghana, crime was a daily reality, but in one neighborhood, something strange was happening. Armed robbers would enter and mysteriously never return. Stolen items reappeared without explanation, and grown men feared in other towns would go quiet at the mention of one name, Budo. He wasn't a police officer. He didn't wear a badge, but he was the law. And depending on who you ask, he was either a local superhero or something much darker. This is the true story of the strongest man in Kumasi, a man some called a legend, others call a vigilante, and whose death was just as mysterious as his life. Yawabuaji was born and raised in Buokrom, a suburb of Kumasi. He was never like other boys. From a young age, he was unusually strong. As he grew, stories of his strength became almost mythical. He could lift heavy objects alone. He once reportedly burnt iron rods with his bare hands. But it wasn't just strength. Budo had something else, a fierce sense of justice. By the time he was a young man, armed robbers had turned many parts of Kumasi into fear zones. But Buokrom, that was off limits. Why? Because Budo lived there and no one dared cross him. Locals say if something was stolen, all you need to do was tell Budo. He would listen quietly, then disappear, and within hours, the stolen item would be back. No police, no court, just justice. Budo didn't accept money. He didn't want praise. But he made one thing clear. If you were a criminal, you had two options. Leave Buokrom or face him. But Budo wasn't just a street enforcer. To children, he was like a big uncle. He shared food, gave sweets, told stories, and became a local legend. His house was always full of visitors, especially young people who saw him as their protector. One day, something shocking happened. Eyewitnesses say Budo stood in the middle of the road, blocking cars, but not to rob them. He was collecting money for the poor. Every cedi he gathered, he gave it to struggling women nearby. To him, justice wasn't just fighting crime, it was lifting the poor. But then came the twist. On August 31st, 2004, Budo was found dead, and the story of how he died was even stranger than the legends that surrounded him. According to reports, Budo had gotten into a land dispute with his own uncle. Now, here's where it gets really airy. People believed Budo had spiritual protections, charm that made him bulletproof, so his uncle didn't use regular bullets. Instead, it's said that a fetish priest instructed him to use grains of rice loaded into a locally made gun. The rice, spiritually invisible to Budo's protection, tore through his body, and just like that, the strongest man in Buokrom was gone. To this day, people still argue about who Budo really was. Some say he was Ghana's own Achilles, a man of strength, honor, and courage. Others say justice must go through the law, not fist. But one thing is sure, when Budo was alive, Buokrom slept in peace. And that raises the question, what happens to a community when their hero is taken away? And when justice is left to human hands, who decides what's right? Thanks for watching, and don't forget to give me a follow.